Back before going online to find educational games for kids today was the norm, elementary schools would have pre-downloaded software for children to play during computer lab time. I'm sure almost everyone watching this remembers, but for those younger viewers who may not have got the chance, I recall this being something I really looked forward to each week. A few of these included Number Munchers, Oregon Trail, and even Kid Picks. Despite not being in school in the 90s, I still got to play all of these because getting new games wasn't always something schools did quickly. But one game series I never happened to get exposure to during my childhood was Carmen Sandiego. Like, I vaguely remember seeing a board game or something with her, but that's about it. So once again, reviewers, I would like to let you know my knowledge of the games or previous television series for this franchise is limited. This keeps happening to every single thing I review, and is probably going to keep happening until we get more reboots of franchises that were created in the 2000s. Why must I suffer so? But putting that aside, I would like to welcome you to my review of the Carmen Sandiego Netflix series. Netflix was kind enough to let me view the first 5 episodes of the show, which may not seem like much, but a lot of interesting stuff goes down in them. But because you might want to watch this before checking out the full series, this review is spoiler free. And let's begin. The Carmen Sandiego franchise debuted in 1985 with the educational video game Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and now has a total of 22 video games as well as 3 TV shows. All these entries had the goal of teaching children about geography and history. I watched a few episodes of the old cartoon and definitely think it pulled it off well. Now Carmen is back with a new show, and like most reboots of older franchises, quite a bit has changed. Here is a quick summary of the plot. Starting off as a student at Vile Academy, an organization that teaches people how to steal treasures from around the world, Carmen later turns her back on the place she grew up and does her best to return any goods they steal. Along with her friends Zack and Ivy, as well as her online friend Player, she becomes a thief who steals only from other thieves. But to law enforcement agencies like ACME, she is perceived as a criminal, and they try in vain to capture her. Carmen travels to many different countries during her adventures to stop Vile, and along the way she ends up learning about who she truly is. So if you know anything about the older incarnations of Carmen Sandiego, it is easy to see that there are some pretty big differences. In the original, she was an agent of ACME who left when she sought out a greater challenge and became a thief. She would steal literally anything, which included things like the Statue of Liberty, and would even go back in time to steal languages. But she left clues about the things she took, so any smart ACME agent could try and get back what she stole. In the old television show, she was pretty clearly a villain. This version paints her as a person that is trying to do good things, just in a usual way, and she could easily be called an anti-hero. And even more explicit is the marketing for the show, which makes sure we all know that she is indeed a heroine. She's also younger than before, but she has been training her whole life, so she's not totally inexperienced. I've already heard a lot of contention regarding her new status as an anti-hero. While I would have loved her being a villain, since that is a very rare thing in modern shows for the main character, I do not expect a show for children in 2019 to showcase a character like that, with the exception of villainous. Her being younger is also no surprise to me, as most reboots do that as well. But if you ignore what Carmen's character used to be, then it is easy to see that this is a very well made show. The art style is one of my favorites for any modern cartoon. It reminds me a lot of the Tangled series because both use the lineless style, and both of these shows execute it very well. But the lighting in this one brings it to a whole other level, and the little details like dust particles make the visuals just overall amazing. Every character in the show is unique, and their designs do a good job at conveying their character. I really love the leaders of Vile and the way they are designed. And since this is a show about geography and exploring the world, the diverse cast is appreciated. Carmen Sandiego is very much a modern cartoon, and since it is on Netflix, they had the opportunity to start the series off with her origin story. And while the show does seem a bit more episodic after the 2-parter introduction, there's always something in each episode that alludes to a bigger story that will eventually come into play. So not only do we get the where, but we also get the who is Carmen Sandiego. I really enjoy Carmen as a character, as she is very clever and determined to make things right. Along with Carmen are a few other notable characters, as I have mentioned before. I'm not sure how I feel about Zack and Ivy just yet. Like in the original, they are siblings, but this time they are on the same side as Carmen. They also made them the same age as Carmen, and Zack is no longer a blonde. I guess they want to make him look more like siblings. But anyways, they're often comedic relief, but they still do a great job with helping Carmen out. Carmen's other source of help is from the character Player, who is never actually there with her, but helps by looking up information online. I've always enjoyed characters that help remotely like Player, and if you know the old series, you'll probably appreciate the callback. In the past, he was a live-action unseen character that communicated with Carmen via computer, since the show implied that the whole series was just a video game. But since the new show decided not to go that route, I think it's still very cool they did something similar by giving Carmen an online friend. Much like all Carmen Sandiego shows and games before it, This version has a focus on education. Honestly, it's been a while since I watched a show with any educational value besides the ones that teach moral lessons, so I think I can safely say that it did take me a bit to adjust to the moments when characters did just start uttering a bunch of facts about geography and culture. But I would be lying if I said I didn't learn a thing or two from these segments. However, I did enjoy the educational aspects of the older show a bit more since they had more humor to them. But this series in general is a bit more serious, so I don't really have a problem with this, and overall, the educational aspect isn't too in your face. While there were a bunch of things I enjoyed about this series thus far, I do think there's room for improvement. A lot of the side characters, especially those that were Carmen's classmates from Battle Academy, are pretty bland personality-wise. Hopefully each of them gets some more spotlight in the future. And while I enjoyed seeing Carmel travel and interact with people from different countries, so far I really haven't seen anyone speak any languages other than English, which is a bummer since I think it would be cool to learn some phrases from other languages through this show. When they're at a Spanish-speaking country, I do expect to hear some Spanish. Personally, I'm a bit conflicted on the direction the show took as a whole. I feel like it would have been amazing to see the show mimic the original one and have the whole thing be a video game where the player is representative of the person watching. And with that, they could have added some more interactive features, because the lack of them with the show is a bit of a missed opportunity. There could be some trivia that players can answer throughout each episode, which could definitely help in the retention of all the facts they learned. Or maybe even different scenes could play depending on the answer the player chose. But who knows, maybe they can add some interactive features later down the line. Finally, I think keeping Carmen a villain would have been neat, or maybe at least have her do bad things at first, and then slowly realize it's the wrong thing to do. I suppose there is some of this in the backstory, but a slower redemption for Carmen would have been a nice alternative. But that is more about what the show could have been, not about what it currently is. The show that I've seen so far is pretty great. I'm looking forward to see how the show explores Carmen's origins, as that is a big theme in the series so far. Like I said, there's clearly a bigger story at play, and I'm curious to see just how dark the show will go. It probably won't ever get too dark since it's a show for all ages, but here's to hoping the plot gets really good. If you are adamant that Carmen must be a villain, then this may not be the show for you. But for everyone else, I would say give it a watch. Netflix has been releasing a ton of good cartoons lately, and this is another one to add to the list. Also, there's going to be a live-action movie in 2020, so hopefully that is good as well. Carmen Sandiego will be on Netflix on January 18th. For those of you watching this review after you saw the series, let me know what you thought of it. I'll definitely be checking out the rest of the series once it releases, and hopefully it keeps getting better. If you enjoyed this review and are new to the channel, feel free to check out my other reviews. I will link the playlist at the end of the video. I've done some like Castlevania, Dragon Prince, She-Ra, and more. Also, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. If you happen to be a fan of Steven Universe, you are in luck since we have a bunch more Steven Universe videos coming out, especially after we get the Season 5 finale. Thank you all for watching and have an animated day.